Good morning, all, and welcome to our Women in Digital LinkedIn Live show. And I'm Lois Coatney, one of your hosts for the show. Haley Nielsen is unable to be with us this morning, but she will be back on our next show. This is actually, I think, the final show of our first season. It's been a fantastic season. We were able to chat with so many women across the globe who have been part of our 2024 Women in Digital Awards. And next time, I think we are going to start with our winners from our 2025 awards program. So it'll be our second season, and we're super excited to start that. But we have a fantastic guest for our last show. It's going to be a treat. We have Muthu S. from Brillio, who is the Digital Innovator Award winner, the gold winner for our APAC region. So maybe if we can bring Muthu on the stage and we can have a bit of a chat. Hello. Good evening. Good evening. Morning to me, evening to you. And you live in Bangalore, which I've been to actually quite a few times, and it's a beautiful city. And so we're so thrilled to have you join us. And, you know, you've been so immersed in AI and data. I noticed that you've had so many awards in this space, top 10 data scientists for 2019, 40 under 40 for data scientists for 2022. So you've just really had already an amazing career. And I guess maybe just to kick this off, talk a little bit about who Brillio is, your role at Brillio, and, you know, how did you get to that point? That's an amazing start in your, what seems like to be a very young career already. So maybe share a little bit about that.
Thank you so much, Lois. Yeah, it's been quite an interesting journey. So Brillio is a digital organization. It was started like a decade back with a lot of focus on transforming primarily in the digital space. So I was just fortunate, you say that you be at the right place at the right time. So I was just fortunate that I have grown along with how AI has evolved in the industry. So I started my career with analytics, solving smaller problems with smaller amounts of data. And then when the compute and big data evolved, I also evolved along with the technology, where I got an opportunity to work with lots and lots of data, terabytes of data. I've also filed patents with one of the first projects where I got access to so much amounts of data that we could really process and get information, insights to help businesses. And that's when we started seeing a shift where the technology was selling itself, right? Instead of we going and explaining to a lot of businesses on where they can use data to make decisions, the technology started evolving faster. And that point is when I joined Brillio, and my last 9 years has been an amazing journey, where I started with solving large scale transformation programs to then setting up AI COEs. I've done a lot of responsible AI roles. And today I am leading the AI product organization for Brillio. So where, we are at the intersection of technology, human, and also, the governance aspects, which I think we will chat more about in today's session. But it's been quite exciting. And I wouldn't say that, all the roles landed on my plate. There are a lot of things that I curated through my journey, because as women, we all love to do meaningful roles with purpose, because we are already juggling a lot of things. And when it comes to career, I think most women like me would also choose meaningful roles. So I have always been that person who asked for things that excites me. And I think, in short, that's what has been my journey, Louis.
Oh, that's amazing, and it's great, and yeah, we'll need to tap into how you navigated that, because I think that's a challenge for all of us, right? But maybe before we jump into that, just kind of almost demystify AI for us. I mean, it's everywhere. It's in every conversation. it's such a huge movement. But you talk about how you started in data and that evolved. I mean, how is AI really taking hold? What is it about today and at this moment that it
Hmm.
has become such a huge presence, right? I mean,
Right.
blockchain was going to be huge and everybody was talking about blockchain, and then it kind of fizzled. I mean, it's
Exactly.
still there, but it has a role, but it didn't take over. AI
Hmm.
seems to be taking over. Is that the case?
I would have a slightly different perspective. I personally don't believe that AI is taking over or is going to take over. Rather, AI has its own limitations, and I think it is just making our lives better, right? So that's how I see it. And also to answer the first question that you were talking about, how AI is evolved now. Initially, before the Gen AI era, we used to be dependent on creating our own algorithms. We used to fine tune with a lot of classical algorithms. So I got into this space because I had a lot of interest in maths and problem solving as a kid, and this really fascinated me. And that's how our journey started in the last few decades, right? But what transformed, especially after the GPT launch, is that now we have something called foundational models, which are capable of doing a lot of things faster and with accuracy. So this one single transformation has really evolved this space, and everybody latched on to the power of what the large language models are doing in the market today. And AI is now evangelized into everything that we do. Like, for example, my kid also, he's just a teenager, and he has access to AI. My parents are pretty old. My dad is like 80 years old, and he has access to AI. So I think it's just breaking all kinds of barriers, and it's making our day to day lives much easier. But the problem is that lot of businesses and enterprises are only looking at it more from a efficiency gain and productivity improvement perspective. But there's a lot that AI is able to do, and it is doing in multiple other scenarios as well. Like, for example, for me, a lot of ethical and human intelligence and connectivity to the kind of problems that we solve is very, very critical. Like I mentioned, I always wanted to do meaningful and purposeful roles. So that also connects back with the kind of projects and use cases that we've been picking on, the way we start looking at things without it all becoming a replacement of human topic, right? So of course, it is going to replace roles where it's very mundane, where there's not a lot of critical thinking involved. But that's only going to push us to do things that are important for humans, for us to connect better, do things better.
Well, I mean, it's an amazing perspective of, you're right. You could look at the downside of AI where, oh no, is it going to affect people's jobs and so forth? But really, if you look at the impact it's going to have, it could be a huge, I guess, accelerator, or just the way that we work and live. I love the fact that you said, like, your father, who's in his 80s, is also impacted, right? We want it to be something that enables everyone. But it's hard to, I wonder how we just individually, we all want to, play a role in what that is, but it's so fast moving, right? To your point, I mean, just a year ago, we were talking that, you're right, it's all about productivity, and it's going to help, those who are in systems development, they can work faster, they can work, do more things. But it's kind of beyond that now. Now it's more about how it really improves the way we do things, right? The whole business processes, the whole things that we as consumers touch and feel. Like, how do you stay on top of it? Because it seems like such a huge thing to know what's going on. It's constantly evolving. How do
Yeah.
we, as workers in this space who want to really be instrumental, how do we keep ourselves current to be that
Yeah.
instrumental in what we're trying to do?
So I look at it from two different perspectives, right? So somebody like me is a producer of, AI products, AI solutions in the market. Then we have consumers of AI. Like my parents, for example, are, a good consumer of AI. There are also different personas within corporate as well who have become consumers of AI. Whether you want to adopt or not, you don't have a choice today, right? Now, as you rightly said, this is very difficult, especially for my persona, right? The AI development developer persona, things are changing very fast. And in my current role, the assumption period of an AI product is very, very low. It used to be months, quarters. Now it's just, reducing quite a lot. And I'm just scared that it's probably going to become days very soon. But we all are trying to adopt things very fast. So in this scenario for the developer persona, where I have seen success is to keep myself updated but not try to be perfect, right? Because a lot of times we lose traction, or we get very overwhelmed because we try to get the right kind of the perfect solution in the market, or the perfect product that's going to tick all the boxes, right? So it's very important for us to look at it more from a micro learning perspective and smaller
Mhm.
iterations, because like I said, the assumption period is also pretty low these days. So anyways, there's going to be a new version of a large language model or something new like MCP. When it came in, lot of problems that people were solving for didn't make any sense anymore, because this protocol was just amazing, and it was solving a lot of problems. So that whole micro learning and iterative experimentation is going to be very, very critical for somebody who wants to get into the developer persona. Now, for the consumer persona, again, it's very important to do two things, right? One, to be well read about how you can be aware of products and features that are available for us to make our life better. Right now, for example, if in office today, if a designer is not available, we just use Lovable, or any AI tool like Lovable to create a quick prototype, and then wait for the designer to come in and just take it. Then you can do other things, right? But there are tools that are available in the market. For us to be aware of those tools, I think that is going to be important. But I also strongly believe in this community of learning. Right now, when we are surrounded by people who are excited about the similar kind of things, your learning becomes faster. It will be 10x more if you are surrounded by people, if you're part of community. Because today, if you open any kind of social media, you're going to be clouded with lots of articles, too many things. And it's important for us to have that community, and also the right kind of micro learning that we can chart out for, which has personally helped me a lot. I like to be part of different communities, which where I get small tidbits. Sometimes I don't have things to contribute, but I just go and listen into everyone conversing with
Mhm.
each other, and I learn quite a lot. And the other thing is trying it out, right? Like a lot of people get intimidated because they haven't really tried out. But AI is like very, very simple today. The whole user experience is becoming way better with AI. So the last part, of course, is trying it out, be it a developer or a consumer of AI.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think, I think the way we work, and I've been in consulting and technology consulting for more years than I wish to admit. And I think we need to stop thinking like, I know the answer, right? Because there are so many answers now.
Yeah.
Or if you're, we tend to, as in consulting, we tend to want to create a roadmap. Here's a 3-year roadmap or a 5-year roadmap. Here's the answer. Here's how you're going to go through this. Well, I mean, we don't know what year 2 or year 3. So it's a different way of looking at the future. And now it's more of a way of feeling comfortable with evolving, right? And just looking and understanding how you ride this wave, right? And take advantage of this wave. And I wonder, you mentioned, especially as a woman and some of the barriers that we've had in the past. It is a different way of working, and it's potentially maybe some of the strengths that you have found in yourself in the journey that you've had. Is there a way that the way AI has reshaped both in how we work and work in teams, right? That is a very collaborative kind of a way, but also in a way that we can take advantage of AI as a worker, because we have a lot of things on our plate. Women typically we have families and we have households and we have all sorts of things that we're trying to, keep our pulse on. Is it a way for us as women to really kind of break down some of those barriers that we might have been having to grapple with in the past? What's your experience and what's your advice?
Sure, that's a great question. Of course, AI is transforming for everyone, but I personally feel that it is breaking barriers more for women because, historically, the starting lines haven't been the same, right? We often tend to juggle more with our career, family, caregiving. And also, like one of the women leaders have also quoted that our biological clock, is never correlated with your career clock, right? So that's another, added advantage. I'm just being sarcastic here, right? So we often try to juggle quite a lot with our physical health, mental health. It just sometimes we just have a lot of self doubt as well. In most of the thing, most of the appraisal cycles that I have sat through in the last 2 decades, I see that women tend to appraise themselves as achieves goals or at the max exceeds goals. Very rarely you will see the self rating of women are generally at the medium layer. They never see themselves at at the top. So this is where I think AI is making it special. It's truly, it can act as a equalizer if we use it for the right things. Of course, how we can do micro learning, create the communities to learn together and multiply the whole effect of growing in AI. That is definitely one lever that everybody can use. But we as women can also use AI to plan things better for us. Like personally for me, I juggle a lot of things during my day, and it really helps me to plan sometimes. Whenever I have self doubt, also you can use AI to charter strategies for you. Lot of times we don't think of our career like a project, right? So that's another thing that is really helpful. Like rather I have switched, right? When I look at roadmaps on consulting projects, there are no 5-year roadmaps or 3-year roadmaps anymore, like you rightly pointed out. It's all about the outcomes. Now people talk about where they want to be 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and AI is looked at as an enabler today. With whatever is available for us, we look at how to achieve that in the next 3 months, because we all know that things are going to change. Now for career as well, I do the same thing. I create roadmap, I look at what I want to do, where I want to be. And like very interestingly, I had created 5-year roadmaps for myself. Until like 50 years, I just assume that I'm going to work till 50. And the journey is not going to be linear, but at least once in 5 years I will look at what is it that is upcoming in the market. Is it something that I can play a role on, and look at the enterprise that I'm working for and the customers that I have, and how can I position myself. And this is where AI can really help us sharpen our strategy. Sometimes whatever strategy that we have in our heads, we can like look at AI as a confidence builder to see how we can do things better. And also as women, we are all very poor negotiators. Like I told you, we do rate ourselves lower. We don't negotiate. We just think that this is something that is so good. Despite of me handling my family, I still have a job, and we feel very good about ourselves. So those are some of the things that AI can truly, help us in building that confidence, navigating the gaps that we might have, and give us that true realistic picture of what it takes for us to reach where we want to reach. Right? I'm not saying that everybody needs to be as crazy as me to create 5-year roadmaps every decade, but then whatever you aspire to be, I think AI can help us create that roadmap, and that is more important, in today's world, because this is in our control. There is no assumption period, and nobody is going to come and say there is a new version of LLM. This is our career, our life, and I think this is more in our control.
I think you're right. And, I think the whole concept of linear careers, they don't exist, nor should that be the right. I think if most of us look back at our careers, we didn't have a linear career, right? We jumped in different places. And to me, I think also how AI enables the ability to take some of that knowledge and even go into different types of roles or different types of industries, because it allows us to explore areas that are of passion of ourselves, right? We have different passions and different things that we want to do in life. And so I think it really, gives us the opportunity to kind of not have to just take this, kind of step up, but we can move different areas, and it helps us to find that passion. So it's very exciting. So I have in every show we have our prior guest who asks us a question of our next guest. And last time we had Benedita Miranda, who's the COO for EMEA for Foundover, and she lives in Spain. And she had the following question for you, and I'm just going to read this word for word so I get it right. So Muthu, you have worked across diverse industries and geographies. My question to you is this: in a world where talent in increasingly global and technology is borderless, what do you see as the most important skills as leaders, what should we cultivate to inspire and unite multicultural teams? And I think that's a great question, because as leaders, we have such a diverse set of clients that we work with. What do you think is most important, and how we can really help bring those multicultural teams together?
That's a great question. Like in the last few years, I was fortunate to have worked with a lot of global teams. So there are like three things that I think are very important. The first one is, of course, a cultural intelligence, right? It's more than awareness about the culture itself. It's more about curiosity, building the whole trust and mutual respect, so that with, especially when the technology is fast evolving and when we are working on uncharted territories, I think this is going to be super critical for us to work together. The other part is storytelling, because a lot of times we just think that if we just get right with technology, that should be more than enough. But with with the technology, I'm just carefully wording that, right? Because it's not just AI. When AI grows, there are a lot of other things around the technology, like data engineering, digital engineering. Everything else is also getting the effect of what is happening in the AI world. So it's very important for us to also be able to articulate that with whoever we work with, right? It could be customers, it could be peers, it could be different teams, because the whole understanding of what we are trying to do is also going to be important, and that comes with a knack of being able to tell that story in itself. And of course, the last one and very important one is empathy, because when we pick projects or when we start working with multiple teams across the globe, this is something that we tend to overlook. And sometimes we get into a lot of transactions through meeting to meeting, because all of us are just running from meeting to meetings through the day. But I think during pandemic, this became like a very big cultural shift, that we saw that people started having time for empathy, time to connect with people, trying to understand who is this person beyond that small icon that we see on our laptops, right? So I think empathy is also going to be very, very critical. So these three things I have seen has really worked. And back in those days, in management consulting, we used to get trained on some of these things. But today, I think with AI, we all have to, probably learn with ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's, we do. You're right. It seems like, especially now we're not in the offices as much. We tend to correspond this way with our teams. And you're right. We need to look beyond just the picture on the screen, right? We need to actually spend the time to get to know people and still have that thoughtful connection and the respect and, and the culture. So that's really, really good advice, and so important these days. So I have one last question for you. And you had talked, when we were talking earlier, you had such passion about how AI can really help just the communities around us, right? It's not just about what we're doing every day in our jobs and with the businesses that we work with, very important, but it's having a huge impact, to kids in school, to our parents, who are at a more senior age. So what role can all of us play? I think we're all so, we're really lucky because we are often involved in so many things, learning so much because of what we do every day, but it feels like we can do so much in our communities as well to make a big difference. How do you think we should engage with our communities around us?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? Because AI is not just shaping the future of work, which is what is mostly talked about in a lot of forums, but it's actually shaping the future of humanity in itself. Like I told you, when AI evolves, a lot of things around AI also evolves. And as technologists and AI producers, sometimes we have a lot of positive bias towards the technology, and we tend to overlook a lot of human intelligence around what is the effect of what we are building across all of these things. That's something that I've been personally very passionate about in the last few years. It is very important for whoever is building it to be ethical, inclusive, empathetic, but also with respect to how it is getting evolved. It's very important for us to also educate people around what is the right use of AI, because sometimes when these social media trends start, people don't really think beyond posting things using AI. There's a lot of nuances to understanding the purpose. How did this become popular? Why is it becoming popular? You need to probably do a little bit of digging, and it doesn't come naturally for people who don't work in this field. I think for the technologists, it is very important for us to educate all age groups. Right now, I go to a lot of schools, I talk to a lot of underprivileged kids. I also adopted like some 100 underprivileged girls very recently, to educate them on AI, help them navigate, because today with AI, you don't have the barrier of language or what access, somebody has, right? So today it's becoming it's like breaking all the barriers for all the different kinds of community. So that's something that I've been personally very passionate about doing. And also there are women who have a lot of great ideas. They have small businesses, but then they are not able to market or do things at scale that they would want, because they don't have access to technology. So I'm also picking a few of them and mentoring them on how they can use AI to navigate some of those challenges that they face today. And of course, senior community, I'm trying my best, but sometimes they get very overexcited. Like my dad just gets overexcited to use AI. He doesn't really think or do much, and I'm still trying to figure out how we can help the senior community, because that's going to be a game changer for them.
Mhm.
Like, while the technology is evolving very fast, they also, in the last few years, I think the senior community also found it very difficult to adapt to that technology, while a
Mhm.
lot of advancements were happening, and that user experience is changing, but they also need to understand what information they can share, they
Mhm.
cannot share. Lot of hoax, there are also a lot of negative impacts of AI
Mhm.
that is targeted at senior community and smaller children. So this whole education itself is something that will be very useful for different groups of people.
That's a very good point. You don't need to reach far away, just simply looking at schools, looking at mentoring, looking at you're right, just having conversations with people around us who don't have the advantages that we do, and, being plugged in, if you will. We can have a dramatic impact. So that's really, really great ideas. Well, Mutha, we really appreciate you joining us this evening. So insightful, so many ideas and ways for us to engage, to take advantage of this moment in time and be a participant in it, not just watch it, but be a participant and be an active contributor. And that is just great for all of us. So thank you so much for your time, and congratulations again on your award for
Thank
being
you.
our digital innovator of the year in APAC. So thank you, and thank you all for joining us in this episode and for our first season. And we look forward to seeing you all in our next season to come. Thank you.
Thanks, Lewis.